Hello! We've come to read you another story, and today's story is called The Bumblebear. Never heard of a Bumblebear, have you, Caitlin?
No, just bumblebees.
Bumblebees, but not Bumblebears. This book might be funny.
It's dressed up as a bumble.
Oh, that's right, the bear's dressed up as a bumblebee. Maybe that's why it's called Bumblebear. Well, let's read it. This book is by Nadia Shireen. Let's see what it's all about. Ooh, missed a page. We'll go. Once there was a bear called Norman who really loved honey. He really loved it, and he was always sad when it ran out. There he is. Looks sad. He's run out of honey. Wonder if he'll find some more. Whoops. Oh, I've got to do that thing where I put it over your face again. Or, let's try. Why don't you come on this side? Come here. That's better. But getting hold of more honey was always a bit tricky. If only I could be a bee, he sighed. I could have as much honey as I liked. And then Norman had quite an amazing and brilliant idea. I wonder what he's going to do. I think this is where the name of the book might come from. Let's see what he does. What do you think he's going to do?
I don't know.
It was an ordinary morning at bee school. "Hello, bees," said the queen, who was in charge. "We have a new bee at bee school today." "Ooh," said the little bees. "Everyone say hello to..." Who do you think it's going to be? I think I can guess who it's going to be. Norman! Hello, said Norman. "Ooh," said the little bees. I don't think that's what they were expecting when they heard that there was a new bee coming to school. Do you? He looks a bit different, doesn't he, to the other bees? How does he look different?
He's not got a yellow face.
He's not got a yellow face. He's a little bit big as well for a bee. Oh. Aren't you a bit big? Asked Amelia, who was a rather clever little bee. Amelia, yeah, like your friend Amelia. We've got an Amelia too. I'm a special bee, said Norman. I come from a land far away called, Giant Bee Land. Said Amelia. But then it was time for lessons to start. She's not quite sure about him, is she? No. Bee School Daily Planner. Name Norman. They began the day with some painting. Oh, we do painting sometimes at school. Then Norman joined in with buzzing practice. Bzzz. Before everyone settled down for a nap. You had a loud yawn, did poor old Norman. The bees showed him all sorts of games during playtime, and Norman was brilliant at waggly dancing. There he is. Waggly dancing. And then it was time to go home. Bee school is amazing, thought Norman, and he couldn't wait to come back the next day. He loves it. The next morning was even better. Norman was very good at finding smelly flowers. And the bees really liked him. He was so funny and friendly, and he always tried his best, even during flying lessons, which he wasn't very good at. And that's not a surprise, is it really? No. After lunch, the bees learnt how to chase away anyone who came after their honey, like spiders, mice, toads, or bears.
He's a bear.
Yes, don't tell them, no. I don't know that. Amelia still felt there was something a bit odd about Norman. She tried to work out what it was, but she just couldn't figure it out. What is it about Norman? Then, gasp! Bears steal honey, smell bad, raw lots. Amelia told the other bees what she had found out, but They didn't believe her. Of course Norman's a bee, they said. Just look at him. He's not a bee, and I'll prove it, said Amelia.
Amelia's not happy.
She is not happy. They don't believe her. She took Norman to the bees. Secret honey store. Ooh. Well, when he saw all that honey, Norman just couldn't help himself. Honey, honey, honey. Ah! After all, he really, really loved honey. See, Norman isn't a bee, he's a bear, said Amelia. What the jiggins? Gasped the little bees. Said Norman. No, what's happened? Don't think he's realised his costume's come off. He was asked to leave bee school at once. But he really did like bee school. Oh, look, he's by himself now and he's crying. Poor old Norman. With Norman gone, things were very quiet at school. Oh, Norman was such a funny bee, sighed the one bee. Norman was such a busy bee, sighed Amelia. Norman was a naughty bear, said the Queen, and bee school is no place for bears. But later that night, the bees heard a loud crash and a diabolical roar. Oh no, they cried. It's a bear! Oh, panic stations! Bear alert, bear alert, bear alert. And this bear was big and nasty and trampled all over bee school, and it grabbed the hive and it started to shake it. Honey! The bees tumbled out in a panic and they tried to chase the bear away, but it was just too big and too bad. Oh no! But then... a fearsome buzzing beast burst through the trees. Eek! Squeaked the bear. A giant bee! And it ran away as fast as it could. Look, that giant bee chased away that horrible bear. What a good bee. But who is it? Who is this super bee that's just saved the day? Why, of course, the bees were saved, and it was Norman who was the hero. They gave a big pot of honey, and the Queen presented him with a special award. You definitely aren't a bee, said the Queen, but you are no ordinary bear. You are, I think, a Bumblebear. Hooray!
He's a Bumblebear.
A Bumblebear. And Bumblebears were definitely allowed back to bee school. The end. Oh, what a good book that was. And it just goes to show, even when we are all different, we can still be friends.
Yeah.
And you should never treat someone differently just because they're not a bumblebee. Should you? No, because you're not a bumblebee.
Yeah.
But you're still my bumblebee, aren't you?
Like if I dressed up as Elsa, when I went to Elsa's school, and all the Elsas were small, they might think that's a big Elsa, right?
Yeah, all the little elves at elf school might think that's a big Elsa. She's not really an Elsa, but if you want to be an Elsa, you can be an Elsa. Because you can be anything you want to be, can't you?
Yeah.
All you got to do is work hard and try. And also make lots of friends and keep everybody happy as best you can. So, hope you enjoyed the story, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.